Hear you, you'll just have to switch on your camera. We're live. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Anza Saqib. I work with the CxO Global Forum. CxO Global Forum is a knowledge sharing platform for all C levels across Pakistan and the globe. So each time we try and come up with ways to contribute to the knowledge economy, and what better way of putting together our thought leaders online now that we're living post-pandemic and really connecting and sharing our thoughts. We've got a very interesting panel joining us today, and we're going to be talking about disruptive technologies in Pakistan. Before I introduce you to the panel, let's talk a little about what disruptive technologies are. So, when I was growing up back in the day in Pakistan, we concepts like Netflix and Careem and Uber were all unknown to us, and it seemed pretty far-fetched. Even though I'm from one of those generations, we literally grew up with cell phones. But the world is changing around us and at a very, very fast pace. And disruptive technologies are the way forward. I mean, I've seen this. So either you adapt or you're left behind. And that is one of the conversations that really strikes a nerve with all of us. And I thought it would be so appropriate to take these wonderful members on call today, have a little chit chat, and hear from their experiences and their stories. Joining us today is going to be, and this time I'm going to take massive pride in the fact that our first global thought space is going to also have a female member with us. And she is someone that needs no introduction. In a very short span of time, KeepTruckin has made it big in Pakistan. Fatima Mazhar, the general manager at KeepTruckin. Then we've got Mr. Asmar Atif. He's the chief intrapreneur at Octopus Digital, which is an Avanceon group of companies. Then we've got Mohammad Umer from the CEO and co-founder at SWSAM Solutions. And my dear friend Bilal Mumtaz, who's the director marketing at Sehat.pk. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I am going to be moderating this panel. But I would really like to hear your thoughts individually, starting with Asmar. Asmar, what does disruption in general mean to you?
Anza, first of all, thank you very much for having me. But, I think I should just pass on the baton to Fatima because it has to be ladies first. I'm sorry I might be breaking the decorum, but it has to be ladies first. So Anza, I would request you to ask a question to Fatima and we will follow her. So thank you, Fatima.
For Asmar, 10 points to you for being politically correct. So I know you've just come in. I know you've just come in from your polo match. So yeah, I'm going to ask everybody the same question. So what does disruption mean? And generally, it is a buzzword. I interact with a lot of people from the academia, a lot of students, and literally a lot of them are throwing around this word. So I'm going to create a disruptive technology. I'm going to cause disruption in the market. My ideas are disruptive. What does it mean to be disruptive?
So I think that's a really big question. I'm not really fond of buzzwords, so I don't really use them. I really didn't really believe in them till I actually was part of a journey that was super disruptive. And I'll go back to Careem, where I spent about 5 years almost as part of I call myself the founding team because I was the first 10 employees. But we came in and I launched Careem in Pakistan. I will never forget that experience coming into Careem and my boss saying, hey, go launch Pakistan. And I was like, sure. Every single person that I talked to in the first up to 6 months laughed in my face. They said something like, this is never going to work in Pakistan. There's no way women are going to be allowed alone in the thing. And there's no way somebody's going to use an app and it's going to give them something. How are the drivers going to understand what this app is? How are they going to follow a map? They'll always call you. But Careem, to me, defines disruption. We came in Pakistan. We conquered Pakistan. Uber came all the way from the US. Tried to conquer Pakistan, but I still like to believe that Careem did. And it really, really changed the lives of a lot of people. A lot of employment was given out. And all over the world, not only in Pakistan. So I think we created employment opportunities for people that otherwise would have to work. We created so many entrepreneurs because you take your own car, you become a captain, and you decide the time you want to do this, and you do this while you're doing other things. Coming to KeepTruckin, KeepTruckin, what it does is it's a SaaS-based company, so it provides software where people that drive the most, that have the toughest jobs, I believe, truck driving, long haul, which is like going for hours on end, our technology makes sure that these people are not manually adding everything. So there is an electronic log that, you know, kind of records everything for them and makes sure that they're safe. Then we've got dash cams, we've got all these things that provide safety and convenience. And also, just a correction, I was going to announce this later, but since you guys have invited me, I as of last week and no longer with KeepTruckin, I have started my own venture. You'll hear about it in the next week. So that is also e-commerce. But just wait till next week and we'll make that announcement. So I will be starting my own thing in Pakistan, and that's because KeepTruckin is a great company. It's providing so much employment, but the product is used in the US and it'll take a couple of years to come to Pakistan. So I wanted to do something in Pakistan. So you'll be hearing about it soon. But that's disruption for me. And we create disruption there too, but you just have to wait just a little bit to hear about it.
No spoilers today, Fatima?
None whatsoever. I really can't, but like, just wait a couple of days. And then you guys will hear
one for the CxO family.
Excuse me?
I said one for the CxO global family. Maybe just a teeny tiny one. Yeah.
Just e-commerce.
Okay, e-commerce, right. So we're looking forward to that, and you know, it's lovely to see how women have really come forward in the tech industry. So, you know, more power to you. Asmar, I'm going to throw back that question to you.
Congratulations, Fatima, and all the very best to you. Looking forward to hearing more about that. Thank you, Anza. I think I would define disruption in two ways. First, in our business context, because the business that we have been in is our customer base has been manufacturing and process industry. And it's a very different kind of industry. I mean, in terms of that it's very conservative. So people in the manufacturing industry are even more conservative than IT people. So the industry traditionally has been behind. Mm-hmm. So the company that I work for, Avanceon, it started off 30 years ago. The person who started it with just very small private equity, and now it's a multinational in 7 different geographies. So what that company did was, at that point in time, there was no automation and engineering of manufacturing industry as in systems integration altogether. And there were big companies who were either not present in Pakistan or were coming to Pakistan but selling things at a very high margin because industry had to buy equipment or control systems from them. So this company, Avanceon, came in and it disrupted the market, disrupted those big giants who were sitting either in London or New York and selling hardware and software in Pakistan at very high margins and even dictating their own terms. So when we came in 30 years ago, we had no clue that one day we would become Pakistan's largest and oldest publicly listed engineering and automation systems integrator. So the company that I lead now, Octopus Digital, is actually disrupting the business of what Avanceon has built in 30 years. So we are actually cannibalizing what we built, notwithstanding what Jeff Bezos said, that if you don't kill your own business yourself, somebody else will. So the disruption that we are bringing through Octopus Digital in Pakistan, again in the manufacturing and process industry space, is that we are going to actually change our business model from project-based automation to a total subscription-based business model, where we are going to be bringing digital transformation to manufacturing, and the jewel crown of that would be making predictions and prescriptions through artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that's the revolution that we are bringing. And I sometimes very, very humbly say that 30 years ago, we brought the automation revolution in Pakistan through Industry 3.0, and now we are going to bring the machine learning and AI revolution in Pakistan in the manufacturing industry through Industry 4.0. So that's disruption that we have brought earlier, and the market responded very well. And now we are going to disrupt our own business that we have built in 30 years and going to do something different on AI and digital transformation.
Wow, that in itself is so inspiring, and the fact that you people want to disrupt AI and machine learning, that industry, that is brilliant, absolutely. Bilal, my question to you is going to be once again, what does disruption mean to you? Because your industry, the pharma industry, that was way more resistant, right? In terms of, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, in terms of disruption. So how has the journey been so far?
Well, if I were to talk about my journey in a nutshell, it was very tough in the beginning. Try to explain this concept to different clientele of ours, from different doctors to corporate heads to even the end customer that were based in Lahore, because their entire understanding of the pharmacy market was that if a pharmacy is next to my house and they're offering me a good enough discount, then why should I go on an online platform? But then what we try to explain to them is that we live in a country where more than 30% of our supply chain is either fake, adulterated, or spurious in terms of the medical supply. And what happened in 2012 was a distributor sold a wrong batch of heart medication to PIC, and that ended up killing a few people. And the WHO put a drug safety alert on the manufacturer because of that. And that's essentially what caused us to, go into this space. And our model also is very simple. We have a model that's more expensive to employ and to maintain than other e-commerce sites because we have our own warehouse facility that's 24-hour temperature maintained. And then through that hub and spoke model, we essentially deliver to more than 300 locations in Pakistan. And from there on in, right, every sort of essentially different model that we try to bring in has come with a lot of stumbling blocks. But I'd like to quote Elon Musk, who said that if you're not failing enough, you're not innovating enough. So we started off as a B2C model, then we started doing corporate institutional sales, and then we used because I belong to a healthcare family, we used those links to bring in a brand of air purifiers around 3 years ago. And right now, with my experience also in digital marketing, it's been my essentially greater vision to bring the whole pharma industry online. So a lot of different pharmaceutical manufacturers are linking their websites with our site in terms of their products, and we're also running ads and providing marketing material for those brands to go online. So now they, like you said, they were very rigid in the beginning because to the pharma company, it was just all about sending their medical reps to different doctors and then trying to entice those doctors into prescribing their products. And now we're trying to essentially bring that whole process online, where we're trying to obviously build a market for their OTC and consumer brands, because you can't really do that prescription items. And there is one thing I'd like to say, and this is obviously the benefit of me also sitting right now in a co-working facility, because I don't really work on Saturdays. And the co-working obviously concept also was a disruptor to the regular office concept. And there's a very famous meme that you might have come across, four of you, which says, Netflix did not kill Blockbuster, ridiculous late fees did. Uber did not kill the taxi business, limited access and fare control did. Apple did not kill the music industry, being forced to buy full-length albums did. Amazon did not kill other retailers, poor customer service and experience did. And finally, Airbnb isn't killing the hotel industry, limited availability and pricing options are. And the underlying message of that is technology by itself is not the disruptor. Not being customer-centric is the biggest threat to any business. That essentially applied to, my father was the one who essentially laid the groundwork for Sehat, because he had been involved in running his own pharmacy operation for 40 years. And he used to keep saying that there were so many people who would come from all parts of Punjab to that one shop of his because it was so well known. And when we all wanted to start this project, we all thought, what if there was an easier way to reach those people and make sure they don't have to, take a trip to Lahore to get medicines for their loved ones. And so obviously, like I said, medicines in general provide treatment for an ailment, but Sehat as a whole provides ease of mind to the end customer. So that's something I wanted to build upon when you asked me what disruption is. It's not essentially the employment of new or novel technologies. It's knowing what your customer wants and using that technology to facilitate that need.
Oh, absolutely. Such brilliant words. And, that's a beautiful way you paid homage to your late father as well. Umer, are you still with us? Because Umer from SWSAM Solutions is here, and then they use AI for facial recognition, and it's very interesting technology. A lot of people are not even aware of the kind of solutions that they provide. Umer, so that in itself is pretty disruptive. We'd love to hear your take on what disruption means to you.
Thank you, Anza, for the intro. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Anza? Okay. Right, now if I turn the video on, I have limited bandwidth. I'm on the go right now, unfortunately, so I don't want to lose
Okay. All right.
session, so apologies for that. Okay.
Sure, go ahead. I think there's an issue with your bandwidth, still. Now, I think there's a lag in. I think you'll have to repeat some of what you said.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, so absolutely. So facial biometrics is what we're working on. The way I see it's disruptive. Of course, this is a key step towards a digital transformation for Pakistan, let's say, to start with. Imagine, not having to go to the bank to open a bank account or to queue in front of a telecom service center to get a SIM issued, or even accessing your medical health records. Think about the possibility of having to cast your vote from the comfort of your home. So all these areas are areas which actually can be classified as disruption. Using a very simple technology which my company has worked upon, called Hyperize, our product, and essentially we do facial biometrics. So recently in the news, there have been a lot of buzz around biometrics getting stolen and the whole fraudulent impact of this traditional way of doing things. And we essentially solved the problem by presenting a more reliable technology, which is technically not spoofable. It's more convenient, and of course can be classified as keys disruption in Pakistan. But the way I'd like to foresee things, I mean, the way I see things purely from disruption standpoint, is making an impact on the society. There's an African entrepreneur who started a company called Peak Vision. I'm a real admirer of him. So essentially, these are small. He invented these very simple cameras that sit on your mobile phone's camera, and essentially it enhances the capability to an extent that you can do retinal imaging. So traditionally, patients with retinal issues, with glaucoma and other underlying conditions, had to come to primary care from far-flung areas to get their retinal screening done. Now, with this $30, $40 device, which can be hosted on any simple mobile handset, you can essentially do retinal screening or glaucoma screening of entire nation within, let's say, 5 to 6 months. So this is disruption, and really making an impact on how we work. I think what Bilal is doing is an excellent work, and the examples that he gave, it is fantastic. I mean, the whole shortfall of a dependable pharma infrastructure within Pakistan that's missing.
Right.
It's plagued with issues. I mean, we cannot rely on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Umer. We're going to come back to you with another question. Fatima, yeah, are you still there with us? Okay. Yeah, so one of the things that, our conversation did bring up some key themes in particular. One issue with disruptive technology, especially in a polarized market like Pakistan, is that there is a lack of digital trust. And, whether you're working in the logistics sector, whether you're selling insurance, whether you're working in the, e-pharma industry, a lot of times people are not as receptive to newer technologies or disruptive technologies as you'd like them to be. How do we address this challenge, or how do we, counter the narrative that exists? And I'm sure you faced it in your industry as well. Fatima, I think you'll have to unmute yourself and repeat. Yeah, just unmute yourself. Yeah.
I was saying that we already knew that this was going to be a challenge, and we think that this is going to be a challenge for a little while. So what we've always done is had a backup. If you needed to book a ride and you weren't sure it was going to come, we had a little call center set up, not very little, to make sure that percentage of people that didn't trust would be able to dial in. Cash on delivery is one of those things that I think is never going away. I wish it would. But that's an option that you have. We always try to think of what the customer might need and have a setup for it. And we've seen that when you start, maybe there's like 20,000 people calling you. And as time has gone up, that volume's gone down considerably, and it keeps going down. So I think what you have to do is have a backup ready, so that you can ease people's minds off, and then automate and get people to trust you and get there. I think the one thing people will not have a lot of trust on is the financial dealings. So you just have to be aware of that and then figure out how you're going to work on that. And I'm hoping that there's great people working on fintech in Pakistan or other options that can make it easier for us. I'm going to let them do it. But till then, we've always thought of how many options we can have so we can get the people to trust them. And I've seen that if you provide them different options and then keep coaching them on how easy it is to go automated or go digital, eventually they will. But first, have an option, get them to like you, get them to trust you, and eventually you can be completely digital. And I think in Corona, you did understand people had no choice but to be digital. And now look at how much our industry grew in the digital economy in 2020. So clearly there's potential. My dad's always complaining that there's a package coming to our house every other day. And he keeps saying that it's me, but it's my mom. She sees an ad on Facebook and she's figured it out. She's 67. My dad, who's against technology, has figured it out as well. So I think slowly and steadily people are claiming on. And I think in 5 years, it'll be a very different Pakistan. Gotta keep going.
Inshallah. Yeah. Inshallah. Asmar, since Fatima mentioned something that I was reading an article on the other day, there's been a lot of research, and especially since you are someone that's associated with digital media, the new thing is that research says that now people don't like being shown adverts. So what they want is people like doing business with people that they know, like, and trust, KLT. How does one ensure that trust is formed over a period of time, and especially with disruptive technologies? Like I said, how do you make people more receptive?
Thank you, Anza. I think your question is very important, and I'll link it with the previous question that you asked, Fatima, which is about digital trust, because they kind of overlap also. In our context, because our customer base is manufacturing and process industry, and they are extremely sensitive businesses because they are manufacturing plants where a single minute of downtime, if the machine is gone down, it's like hundreds and thousands of, it could go to millions of rupees of production loss. So it could be straight hitting their top line. So the digital solution and digital transformation that we provide to our customer, we have done it in two ways so that it can be trustworthy. First thing is that we have not cooked anything in our Avanceon or Octopus kitchen. All the technology that we are using is based on standard open source cloud technologies, and which are all public clouds, like could be Microsoft, Amazon, whatever. So we're not using any private cloud that is based in Avanceon or Octopus's basement. So we are not taking clients' data under our beds. So that's one thing, because for our clients, what's important is their data privacy, security, and protection. And that's in our business context is important for our customers. So using standardized open source public cloud and providing all the service of machine learning and AI on those platforms is what enshrines trust overall for our customers. And second thing is what you mentioned about the, as I said earlier in my last interview with you, that it's no more B2C or B2B, it's H to H, which is human to human now. And it has always been like that, but in digital transformation, it's even more so. And that has changed a lot of job titles and designations. Now we don't have salespeople or business development people or marketing people in our companies. Now we have customer success managers and customer experience managers, and user experience and design thinking is at the very heart, because that's what involves the human-to-human interaction with our customers, listening to their problems and solving them using design thinking, rather than just going to our customers and try and persuade them that, look, our product is very good, please buy it, and all that stuff. So that conversation of product features and benefits and trying and convince our customers that these are the products and these are the features and these are the benefits, that has actually gone obsolete. So the something which develops trust within our customer context and business context is, one, the underlying technology and methodology that we are using open source technologies on private cloud, and enshrining all the principles of security, privacy, and data protection for our customers. And two, the people who are engaging with the customers are worried not about their sales targets, but are worried about their appraisal and their incentive schemes in our company are based on how does user rate their experience of overall digital service that they subscribe us for, and overall value that they get at the end of the day.
Brilliant insights, Asmar. Bilal, you know that we mentioned with the e-pharmacy industry in particular, there is definitely a trust deficit, to the extent that a lot of people now, the kind of medicines that you have or are prescribed is something that people generally want to keep a big secret, right? And with ordering something from like an e-pharmacy, there is that element of, oh, I'm going to have to share with my name, my records, everything. Once again, how do you tackle such situations? How are you trying to counter that narrative?
So even apart from the digital space, we are well equipped to deal with patients who regularly visit doctors and get prescriptions that they then send to us. However, there has to be even more of a laser focus on acquiring those types of customers and getting doctors to be digitized in the process as well. That's why I think it's a really big treat to partner with a lot of telemedicine portals in Pakistan, because they have doctors that are very tech literate. And these doctors also are in the habit of writing e-prescriptions. They're managed through their own formulation of SOAP, which is an acronym for how they're supposed to diagnose a patient. And when that gets to us, we can, get the patient's data as well. So in that sense, the patient doesn't really have to do any work. When he comes to us, it's through a simple referral, and then the medicine just gets delivered to his house. And the way, our technology's been in the market is a lot of different companies, from insurance partners to corporate clientele to telemedicine partners, are finding it really, really easy to collaborate with us, because they see us not only as a general source of medicines, but as an information highway for these patients to come on. So their information, when it's stored with us, is kept rather safe. And then, we carry on like it's business as usual.
Right. Fatima, when we talk about disruptive technologies, a very real issue that arises, and I mean, this has been a concern for a lot of people since disruptive technologies include things like blockchain and AI and 3D printing and so on and so forth. Basically, a lot of processes, when they're automated, men are replaced by machines, and that's a reality. And that in itself threatens a lot of people in terms of their job security. Did you face anything of the sort while you were hiring people, or is that something that you're aware of, and how can we really curtail the effect that is caused by disruptive technologies?
That's a really So I think complete automation is far, far away. I think that when you do automate, and we've done a lot of automation, the various companies I've been at, it takes time for things to actually be perfect. And there's always that room to improve and keep improving. So you need people that are actually monitoring automation and these processes. But change is hard. And I think one of the things I tell everyone in the startup world when I work with them is you have to be agile. So what I've seen is people have been able to kind of find their niche, kind of work hard to be able to find a different role or grow with the role. There is going to be problems. You are going to lose some people, but what I've seen and what I had to do myself is make sure that I'm with the program. And I've had to do a lot of convincing to people. I remember when this is a story that my previous boss, Mudassir, likes to tell a lot. When we were trying to automate our call center, because when we started off in 2013, we needed a call center to make sure that things were happening. People were very resistant, but they did understand that their job was going to get easier, but they'd still have a job. They'd still have to be monitoring a lot of these processes. So I think as we go forward, always remember that not all the automation is going to happen right away. We have V1, V10, V20 iterations of that automation, and you always have to fall back on humans. At least till now, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Again, I think the next 5 years is going to be there. But when I'm talking to younger people, I'm telling them go in coding. When I'm telling younger people what they're asking to do, I'm telling them to, study up on these things and get with the program. So it's always hard, but I've also realized that if you take people along, if you explain to them why this automation is important, how this is going to make sure that things get better, and you encourage them to learn and you encourage them to grow with it, it's not going to be as difficult. But then again, I've only been in Pakistan for the past year and 8 months. So I am seeing more resistance to change here. But I hope that our government, the parents, and everyone that is mentoring younger people is telling them that they need to change a little bit and go towards where the industry is going towards. So I'm really hopeful that things are going to change. Yes, people are going to be needed less and less, but every single thing that is coming up is going to need some kind of experts because none of us know where we're going. So there'll always be room. And I think that I don't believe that there's going to be a time that machine can take over humans' work completely because machines break, codes break. So we're always going to need people, but we just have to put the people in the right direction.
Beautifully put together. Asmar, I know that you've had immense experience working with people in general, and you've literally seen transitions, right, of industries and technology in particular. How would you tackle the same question?
I really appreciate the answer that Fatima gave, and I totally agree with her, except there is one caveat that I want to add, and that's not my original thought. It's a disclaimer. That's what my boss, our founder, Bakhtiar Wine, used to say always, and you rightly said that I've seen many transitions in my little experience that I have, and Bakhtiar used to say that, any change, even though it's very, very hard, as Fatima put it, and some people it might let go some people, but any change or transition also creates a lot of new opportunities and jobs also. And when I started working on this new project, Octopus project. I was also based in Dubai at the time, and one fine morning, Bakhtiar came and he told me that, Asmar, we are launching a new digital business. Would you like to lead that? And I was extremely excited, and I said, oh, that would be lovely. And the first thing that came to my mind is, I said, Bakhtiar, that's what you used to say, that we're going to do this AI and digital transformation business for industry. We are probably going to need a lot of good talent. And we're going to, the first thing. So, and now I realized, and he said, absolutely, hell yes. And now, trust me, I've been building this, the whole thing for 2 years now, and 70-80% of my time is spent on looking for talent and looking for ideas. I look for good ideas, bad ideas, ugly ideas, worst ideas, so all kinds of ideas coming from all kinds of talent. So when I look back at this question, and it is often asked that whether AI or digital transformation is going to let people go off the job and all that stuff, absolutely yes, I agree. But also at the same time, there's going to be a lot of new opportunities. I would just give you an example in our business context. When I go to, I've gotten a chance, and it has always been a very humbling experience when I interview younger people, and I see when those guys and girls like 20, 21-year-old in different colleges and universities, they are, oh my God, so smarter. The younger generation is much more smarter than we are, to be honest. And let's accept and there were these guys and girls, they were talking to me. I was like, oh my God, they're like some maybe intellectually more mature than me. And that's the talent. And they are ready, almost ready, most of the younger lot, to fill those new positions and opportunities that are being created. But that doesn't take away the fact that, yes, it's going to take away a lot of jobs. But the number of jobs and opportunities that it's going to create is going to be much more. So the net benefit for the society is, and as Fatima rightly said, that a lot of our younger generation need to understand that where the industry is going, what are the pockets of opportunities, what is the demand of the industry in terms of technology and other skills. And I am so hopeful when I go and meet these younger guys and girls, these engineers and other people. It gives me so much of confidence when I talk to them. So I think they're gonna create their own opportunities. We were just told when we were younger, you can either be doctor or engineer and that's it, or maybe. So, but these people are so smart and they are diversifying, and I'm so hopeful about our youth, our future, and also the opportunities that AI and maybe I have a habit of seeing everything from a rose tinted glass, but I see that the opportunities that this AI and digital transformation is going to create is going to grow many folds in a positive direction, and that's going to benefit, as Umer earlier said, not just the industry but society at large. So I'm very, very hopeful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Omar, unfortunately, I think he was on the road, so we've lost the connection with him. He is going to be joining us hopefully later. Bilal, with your industry in particular, I know this because you're directly, the line of work that you're involved in, it literally is putting out a lot of pharmacists and physical pharmacies out of business. You may not like to say there's no other way that I can sugarcoat it, but it is the reality, right? If I can just order medicine online, I'm not going to feel the need to go to a pharmacist. So what kind of resistance have you faced, if any, at all?
So I don't think we've faced that much resistance. It's just that we see ourselves as a multifaceted operation, right? We hire different people from warehousing staff to supply chain management. One thing that we sort of started on our own, we have a dedicated packaging department. These are people that essentially, you give them even like a wheelchair, they'll figure out a way to fold it and package it so TCS can send it to you. And, or our call center staff, and we have a multivariate IT department. But the pharmacy department, even in terms of HR, is the one that fascinates me the most, per se, because it's not that big of a department. But even in general, if you look at the market out there for people who become pharmacists, I think 70% of them are women. And another thing is that, right, there's new branches of pharmacy that are coming into Pakistan, the community pharmacy and a digital pharmacist, and essentially you could say a warehouse pharmacist. And all these sort of positions, like 3 or 4 that I can name, are essentially more suited towards an online pharmacy operation than a brick and mortar pharmacy operation. Because one of the essentially benefits we had of, not just being a part of a very strong group, but of fact checking and getting everything UCAS or WHO certified in our warehouse, was the fact that a lot of pharmaceutical companies have entrusted us with procuring their narcotic items. And that's something that you can't even get from a regular, even reputable pharmacy in Lahore. And that's obviously opened up a lot of opportunities for HR. And you've actually visited our warehouse, so you know what I'm talking about. And just like, to delve on what Asmar and Fatima have been saying, right? It's really fascinating to meet these young people day in, day out. And I understand that I might come from a younger generation than them, but they say something that's quite pertinent, that when they were growing up, it was either you had to become a doctor, or engineer, or lawyer, or essentially a white collar profession, because their parents probably thought that this was the only way you could put food on the table. Whereas right now, I don't think even startups have a requirement for you to even have a college education to join them. They just
Absolutely.
are like, how good are your skills? And even if you work for another company and you don't really have the skills, how much money have you made for that company? And how can you translate that into results for us? So yeah, the world is changing, and every single thing we think of is going on online, digitally, from digital governance to fintech to regulation to even healthcare and generally retail as well. We're still a long way to go because 0.3% of our entire retail GMV is online, whereas in China it's 25%. So just for the perspective, one of every 4 retail sales in China is done online. And even right now, I've just joined the Digital Health Association, which is a digital health support group, as a general secretary. And we're hoping, obviously, to get together and get a lot of policies, passed that make it much easier for digital health operators to operate in the country. So it's fascinating. And HR obviously is at the center of it, hiring the right people and knowing who to collaborate with. Definitely.
Right, hiring the right people. And guys, thank you so much. It's been absolutely wonderful. Didn't keep track of time either, but it's been very, very insightful. 3 brilliant thought leaders from 3 different industries. I would like to ask all of you to leave us with an ending note, since we call this the global thought space. So final thoughts on the topic of the day, starting with Fatima. Your mic is muted. Yeah, your mic is muted.
So I think we talk a lot
That's
about...
me causing disruption. That's me causing disruption to your thoughts.
to my thoughts.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of talk about the next product that we're going to make. We talk a lot about how we're going to be the biggest company, how we're going to make people's lives easier. I'm on one mission. My life is going to be the greatest if I am able to get the title of having the most amazing workplace that Pakistan's produced in terms of culture, in terms of growth, in terms of learning. So I think somebody says this, and I'm not really good at remembering what people say, that when you keep your employees happy, they're going to keep your customers happy. You wouldn't even have to go after them to do the work that they were going to do. And I've always believed in having teams and working with people that are self-motivated. And Bilal said it rightly. It wasn't until I was at KeepTruckin and I was the GM and I had to manage a lot of these other things that I never had to, because I've always been an operations girl. I pride myself on being like this hardcore process-driven operations person. But as a GM, you look at everything. I didn't realize the importance of HR. I didn't realize the importance of recruitment. I didn't realize the importance of keeping people happy. And so as we go on to build disruptive technologies, bring people with you. As you think of structuring your company and bringing in these big people, think of how you're going to provide career growth for your people so that you can bring them along with you and start treating them as family. I know there's so many times when I've been told, you're a woman, you think from your heart. Excuse you. Princess Diana said, I am the kind of leader that likes to lead from the heart. And not that I'm anything like her, but I will always lead from the heart. I will always have the happiest employees. And when I have the happiest employees, I can sleep at night because they're going to do all the work that needs to be done. So you're going to disrupt. You're going to have tough work. You're going to have to make changes. And that's only going to happen if you have a team that believes in you, trusts you, and you take them along with you. So here's to all the entrepreneurs. Here's to all the people. And also, I've always chosen bosses that I have to work with, co-founders that I admire, and I've never taken a job with people that I do not admire or do not look up to. So remember, the newer generation, yes, Bilal, I'm a lot older than you. Thanks for pointing that out. But I think like this generation, and I always am looking for the brightest and the best people to work with. And that's gotten me to where I am today, where I can easily say that I'm going to be a co-founder in a couple of days when I can announce it. That's it.
Awesome. Bilal, I'm going to throw that age joke to you now. Asmar, your thoughts, and if I may request you to keep it a little brief.
Sorry. Oh no, we lost Asmar.
Yeah.
Dubai
Asmar,
doesn't have good internet. Pakistan does. Woohoo.
Yeah. There's an issue with your connection. Asmar, we'll revert back to you. Bilal, can we have your message first, please?
Sure. So, I mean, definitely, right? Ultimately, we all talk about how important it is to formulate your product or to have done substantial research on your startup or to pen down everything from pen to paper. But we oftentimes forget, right? Even when it comes to, Inc. 500, 65% of those startups didn't have a business plan on this product. They just saw product market fit and they went into it. And the message that I'd also like to sort of emphasize, which follows on from what Fatima said, is that essentially, we don't have 1,000,000 years or even 1,000 years. We barely even have 100, and life is very short. You should enjoy what you're doing, and that enjoyment causes you not to just be a more effective person, but a better human being. And it's the human being in you that people attract. I mean, even in my own company, my own employees will tell me that if you were to essentially leave, there's one thing that we learned from you, and I got confused because there's a lot of other people working in the company, and essentially a company my father was involved in, my brothers were involved in, and they said that we learned how to treat other people by looking at your example, and that's essentially the reason why they all come to work on time. They'll have a smile on their face, and they really love what they do. And even when I mentor other startups, and I tell them that you might be going through a rough patch, and I'm the type of guy that will crack a lot of jokes when I'm with them, even if it's not needed. And I keep telling them the reason I do it is because even if this thing goes to bust, you should look back and think of those fun times, and think of it as a way of you exploring yourself. And when you start again, you don't really start from scratch. You start from experience. This is something I think, the biggest stigma that our culture needs to face, that we have to realize that failure is a part of life. We look down on it so much. We lambast others who fail. But essentially, it's a part of our learning process. And the quicker and the more you fail in the beginning, the more successful you'll be. That's my opinion.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes, Asmar. Asmar, apologies. I think there's an issue with your connection. We'd love to hear more. Yeah. Do you want to try one more time?
Oh, yeah.
This is disruption.
Yeah. Asmar, I'm sorry. That's where your connection was really making you inaudible. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hear more thoughts from Asmar next time, hopefully. And thank you so much for bearing with us. If you have any questions, you can write in the chat box here, and we would love to hear more from our thought leaders. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay tuned for more shows next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.